Talking about a career in analytics, I should talk about the company I am representing because that is what we are doing, building careers in analytics. Analytics Labs started as a training institute for analytics. Of course, we started only 3-4 years back, and the word that time was SaaS. That's how we started. Moved up quite a lot as the analytics industry itself has progressed so much. Business analytics, starting from descriptive to prescriptive to what people are even saying predictive analytics, R, Hadoop, and there are so many versions of it that are coming in. So yes, that is what we do, and that is what I represent here. Let me just take an assessment. So this is Bangalore. Analytics is hot here. How many people are already into analytics? Okay. People who are not into analytics. What kind of background do you guys come from? IT? Advertising. And you're still sitting in this talk. Precisely. So that is what we are going to talk about. How do different fields, different backgrounds connect to form analytics? The biggest question right now, I think, regarding that is, what exactly is analytics? We hear a lot of terms: applied statistics, data mining, predictive analytics, as I said, descriptive analytics, structured or unstructured data, the new hot wave, data visualization, data understanding. What is analytics actually? We just hear so many terms related to analytics, ultimately almost turning out to be a misnomer. To be really frank, all of it is analytics. Who can give me the simplest definition of analytics? Any ideas? Making sense out of data. Just the discovery and communication of meaningful patterns in the data. I have data. Data, of course, is an integral part of analytics. Can I figure out patterns and communicate the patterns? To be really frank, that's it. That is how analytics is defined. You can come with more comprehensive, more longer definitions, including statistical words, including technical words, but at the end of the day, this is what it all boils down to. So, understanding trends. When you're talking about understanding consumer behavior, obviously most of the companies live here for consumers. So, understanding consumer behavior. Social media trends. What is happening on my Facebook page? Am I getting too many complaints? Are people appreciating me? Are people even talking about me on social media? Economic trends. And how is that going to affect me? Predictive analytics. Biggest thing, customer churn. I hope my people are not leaving me. Can I stop them from leaving me? Can I identify who is leaving me and I tap into their potential? Customer targeting, social media behavior again. Obviously, research and development, the exact history of analytics. Where did analytics start? Your clinical trials. How am I ensuring and measuring quality in what I am doing? Environmental studies, epidemiology. Not sure, how many of you understand the last word, the epidemiology? Diseases. So, this disease that broke out in Africa recently, which was exactly an epidemic, actually the government sort of predicted it because the people in that region started Googling for similar symptoms. Everyone was trying to Google for similar symptoms, and the government could read into there is something that is happening which is attacking a lot of people at the same time. That is epidemiology. And of course, managing risk. Default modeling. Why is my bank not giving me a higher credit card limit? Why is my bank not dispersing me a higher loan? Or is giving me way too much than what I wanted? All of that, again, managing risk. In insurance, they talk about fraud modeling. Now they are talking about fraud modeling or fraud prediction. What is it? Fraud prediction is, can I predict if someone is faking an accident or something? Can someone is faking an accident and on top of that, faking the claim and everything on top of that also. So it's actually predicting fraud of a fraud. And how is it doing that? When we talk about career in analytics, it's also essential to see how has analytics really come up till now. This is important because this is what will help me understand how different fields have got connected. Whatever has got attached to analytics has never left analytics. So let's see how whatever everything has been there, how is it getting in. The world started with the ERP era. So let's talk about schools, for example, and that's something that I witnessed myself. When I passed out of my school and I started work at that time, so I started school, I started college, and then I started work. And then for some reason, I had to go back to my school for some records. They actually made me sit through a 15 set of registers, each register having around 70-80 pages to look for my particular record. And I was like, bloody, I'm working in McKinsey. You're making me sit here and do this kind of work. Why don't you have an automated system? But precisely that is how an ERP came in. The world of Genpact, for example, that's how they started selling it. I am going to contact you and I'm going to say, I can take over your accounts work. I'm going to build an ERP system for you where I'm going to house all your accounting transactions, and that will be available to you. You don't have to maintain any paperwork. Similarly, I am going to keep track of your RFIDs, products that are coming in, products that are going out, what time are they coming in, how many are coming in. I am going to do all of that tracking for you. So I am going to create an ERP system which I'm going to build for you, or I can build internally for you, and that's how I'm going to store data instead of you housing paper data. That is where analytics started. Now, when I have so much of data that is now getting collected, let's make use of it. So BI came into picture. What is BI? BI is saying, I have data, let's run basic descriptives on it. How many transactions am I doing in a year? How many times a person has asked for a product which was not available at my store? So just whatever is available to me, can I look at that data and just see what is it saying? That is where the word CRM was coined. CRM, I have so many ERPs. So I have ordering data, I have data collection, and then I have selling data. If I join these three together, I can actually see a life cycle coming out of my entire system. So different ERPs started getting connected to get you more insights and also make an entire life cycle out of the entire thing. Again, if you think about it, technology-wise, IT heavy, yes, nothing statistical related because we are still talking about basic analysis. And of course, not a lot of sophisticated tools have got involved here. It's only towards the end of this era when we started seeing advanced stuff in analytics, where we started saying, okay, I can read what is happening today. I know statistics, which means I know regression. Can I not predict what's going to happen tomorrow? And if I want to do that, I need more tools. And that's how more sophisticated tools started coming in. The third era, which we sort of just lived out of, maybe till a couple of years back also, is the entire web-centric or e-commerce data. Internet became the hottest thing. Everyone has access to the internet, which means I can collect a lot of web-related data. I can collect digital information. I can do a lot more than what I was doing earlier. I know that when I am in a traffic jam, my stupid phone network goes off. Why? Because there are too many people in the same area at the same time affecting the network. So all of this information then started getting collected and started getting used more. And now the world for today, everything centric, the big data world, where now we are getting everything together. We're talking about internal and external data silos. What do you mean by that? I was looking earlier only at the information I had within myself. Never thought about carrying external information. Let me give you an example. I am with Fidelity. What do I know? I know about my own clients. I know how much money they have invested with me. What I don't know from them is how much money do they really own, and as a result, what percentage of money are they investing with Fidelity. Now, that is where I am marrying internal data with external data. Externally, I can get data which says people who live in this part of UK or India are earning on an average this much, which means you can take a proxy for the amount of money they have to invest. Once you know that, there is a lot more that you can do, and that is where you're combining internal and external data. Even internally, I think companies have constantly worked in silos. A company based out of India as well as US and UK have really never thought about integrating all the data together and learn from each other. That is also now what is happening. It's just that we have collected so much of data that let's make use of it more. So that is the big data world. And as I said, we started with more of an IT focus area, moved to a bit of statistics, to more statistics, and now we are again combining IT with statistics. What is the underlying thing across all these four? The business knowledge. At any stage of time, business knowledge is extremely important. Sometimes you get a lot of students who say, we've actually been working in a bank or just in the telecom industry, nothing related to analytics. Can I still get into analytics? Of course you can, because you know something which even we as analytics people don't know, which is what does your industry do exactly and how does your company function. That is the absolute basics for anything. Your common knowledge, your common sense, your common knowledge for that industry is much more than I can bring to the table. So at any point of time, don't think that I don't come from a numbers background. Can I still get into it? That's the point. Of course, I said, one of the biggest things that has helped in the evolution is the way the data cost has gone down. When I went for my MBA in 2008, I bought a 4 GB pen drive for around 1,000 rupees. Last year, I bought a 50 GB pen drive for 150 rupees. Just collecting and housing data has become so much cheaper that companies are now encouraged to do that. And I'm talking about a company level, I'm also talking about a personal level. Even for us individually, we've started collecting a lot more data. Think about how many movies do you have stored on your systems versus what you had even 7 years back. There's a big difference. So data is becoming cheap, which is resulting in a lot of data getting stored. Of course, some of you heard about Sumit's talk on Internet of Things and the number of data that is getting generated on a regular basis. But yes, all of that has led to more analytics. So, if I have to think about a career, I need to think about the entire analytics value chain. When I am going to think about an entire analytics value chain, I am going to see how at different stages, different people get connected. I said, business understanding is the core thing. If I don't understand the business, I will never know what is the data that I have collected. I need to know what is the data I have collected and hence what will I intend to do with that data. Business understanding is the core. We talked then about data understanding. Okay, I have a lot of data now. I am working with a company, I understand what the company does, I understand what the industry does, and now I have a lot of data. But do I understand my data? Can I start thinking about integrating data across regions, across systems, etc., and so on and so forth? If I have my data and I understand it, I need to start preparing it for any analysis that I want to do. The funny thing is, in analytics, these two things can together take almost 60% of a project. It sounds very weird. We always connect analytics with the hi-fi, I will run a model, I will run an advanced statistical analysis, etc. But at the end of the day, 50 to 60% of your time will be spent in doing these two things. And then we talk about, once I have the data, I will have a stage on data modeling where I'm really going to be running the analytics and the statistics, followed by evaluating what I have done. I'm going to implement it in bits and pieces, see what kind of effect is it happening. And probably at some stage, these two will happen reiteratively, because when I implement something, I will learn something new, I will go back, change my model, come back, again try and implement it. And the end is deployment. Once I have frozen on my model, can I really deploy it so that it is something I can do on a regular basis, as well as can I draw it more from an insights perspective. As I said, business understanding. We said business understanding is the core. So let's see some examples of how different industries use analytics. Telecom, of course, a very, very common example. I can do churn prediction, basically try to understand which are the clients who are about to leave so that I can target them with an according offer. I can also try and see what kind of bills are people actually having, because that's going to give me an idea of the kind of new plans I can generate in the market. Is it going to be more data heavy? Is it going to be more calls heavy or more SMS heavy? What are the different kinds, what are the things that are becoming popular, and hence I can generate new plans. Financial services. Of course, one thing is, as I said, can I understand the total investment pot of a client and then see what percentage do I earn, so that I can sort of proactively get the person to give me more money when he's investing with me. I can talk about banks who are deciding credit limits, credit card limits, and of course insurance, where we're talking about a lot of frauds that are happening. Now these are two common examples. Of course, the third example is also e-commerce, because I know what you are buying, I know how many times you buy it in a year. I can actually predict the market basket. What is a market basket? When we log into eBay or Amazon and I'm trying to look for a product or buy a product, they basically automatically flash this window which says, maybe you can buy these also. Basically, they are trying to develop a basket or identify a basket, because they know the most conventional example in the marketing world on the market basket is every weekend beers and diapers are always sold together. It's a very, very common example, because they are understanding that fathers who are going to spend the weekend taking care of their babies will need both of them. So it's basically being able to predict what you are likely to buy going forward. But there are other examples. Airlines. Do you know most of the long haul airlines, they actually generally overbook themselves. The reason is because they do expect some cancellations in the end, and then they can manage the seats, which is the reason. And I think European airlines definitely do that, because that's where we maximum here. You go to the counter to check in and they'll tell you, ma'am, our flight is overbooked. If you don't mind, I can give you a one-day free trip to Italy. You can go around, you can stay on my own expense, and then I will take you home after that. So a lot of service management in airlines. The same thing in the hotels. Hotels have started doing it so well that now when you are going to go back to the same hotel, they will probably offer you the same room, because they know the last time you stayed in that room, you did not walk out with a complaint. So at least the room is fine for you. Casinos. Casinos actually have a lot of loyalty programs. One of the most famous loyalty programs of the world is the Total Rewards loyalty program, which is connected to Caesar's casino. Extremely important and gets people back very quickly to get them parted with their money sooner. So As I said, extremely important to understand the industry you are dealing in, because that is going to help you to understand what all you can do in that industry to help out. Once you understand the business, you need to think about understanding the data. I know I am working for a telecom company or an airline company. I can also think about what all I can do for them, which means I should be able to see what kind of data can I collect. When we spoke about this, we said you need business understanding. Now this is where IT comes in, because data collection across various data sources, across various data warehouses, in different formats, across different regions, becomes way too much to handle for a normal person. And that's where your information technology people or the IT people come in, because they help you do that. They will help you collect data from different sources and integrate them into a common warehouse. Different data marts connecting to a data warehouse, which is then going to be accessible for analytics. They probably will also do an exploration. What is an exploration? I will understand when I am joining up revenues of India with Japan, am I taking care of the currency conversion? Am I probably also taking care of the PPP in maybe a retail scenario? So, exploration. And of course, validation. How much of missing data exists? How much data is good data? Are these variables that maybe the Bangladesh office collected for me? Is this the most recent data? So things like that. They will get more data to us. They will get it in an integrated and a more user-friendly format. They will do the exploration for us, and they will also validate the data. Is the data that we have collected even making sense before we really pass it on to the next stage? Now, in some companies, this team is a separate team. So you will have a lot of people who will know how to handle data warehouses, data marts. Of course, you need the IT heavy people and the comp science people to create and manage this entire thing. But that's what they will do. In some companies, this is combined with the analytics people, because at the end of the day, somewhere you are doing this for an analytics professional or for the next stage of analytics, which means you have to constantly talk to each other to understand whether the data that has been collected is even useful, or do I need something more from an analysis perspective. That is where basically IT starts meeting analytics people. The next stage is data preparation. Now once I have collected so much of data, I have so much of data that has been collected. Can I use all of it? Probably not. So let's select what is useful, what is not useful. This is where your business sense also starts coming in, but you start showing signs of analytics. So you will start saying, let's clean the data and see what we have. Can I take care of the missing values? In a market research survey, I go around asking people, which income category do you fall in? 70% of the people don't respond, but I still need an answer. So can I do some kind of a proxy calculation to do that? Again, a combination of business understanding with some bit of analytics required. And then integrating whatever I select from different sources after cleaning it. The reason why I kept saying that this is the starting of analytics is because at this level you will just try to understand the data. You will try to do some basic analytics to just see what is it that your data is saying. India has probably 65% to 35% male-female ratio. My data actually says 90% females and 10% males. Why? Because 90% of the females sit at home and it's easy for me to talk to them versus the males who don't sit at home. That's not correct. So I will run more descriptive or more basic analytics to understand what my data is saying and see How is it different from what should be the norm? But that's all still the starting of analytics. We then go to the modeling aspect. I have all the data. Let's think about what I can do more statistically with it. Yes, this is the statistical stage, because we will think about, do I need to run a simple regression, a higher end regression, a correlation, a relative impact, a segmentation, and there are so many terminologies that I can use. So yes, this is where your statistics starts coming in. So we started with IT, we said some basics of analytics / statistics, and this is your higher side of statistics. This is where I will give my data to a statistician and I will say, this is my objective from the data, do what you want to so that you can help me with my objective. I am going to get him to select what he wants to do. I'm going to generate a preliminary model or a design for it, and then I'm going to assess what he has done. I ideally, for example, run a segmentation. By book, my statistician comes and tells me I am not going to make a segment which has just 7% of the total population. However, this is the jewelry industry where there is 7% people who will really pay for 50 lakh plus for a jewelry. So this 7% is real, even though your statistics book never told you that. So I will have to do some assessment of the model that he has built, but the initial part is all actually statistics. Evaluating. I have done some corrections, but I need to implement this on my base. I am not going to do it completely in one go because I have a 500,000 customer base and I can't risk that. But what I will do is, I am going to probably take 10 to 20% of my sample, maybe make a control test group and try and evaluate how the model plays around on them. I will constantly have to review the process, maybe sometimes go back here because I need to redo things. But this is where your statistics starts meeting your business again, because what your book is saying or what your statistician is saying might not always be practical from an industry standpoint. This is the reason why we say there's nothing that beats hands-on experience or on-the-job experience. The last stage is deployment. Now, deployment can be two ways, and actually in today's world where the entire big data is coming so hot, this is becoming really important. Why? I have tried a model, I have implemented it on a base of, let's say, 300,000, but I need to do this on a daily basis with data or with transactional data that I collect for 500,000 customers on a daily basis. I need my model to be run every 2 days. When I'm talking about so much of volume of data, which changes so frequently, that's where my big data, for example, is coming in. So I need IT again. I need my data set up again to be able to deploy this model on a more technological side so that it can run on its own and at a good frequency. I don't have the time luxury to wait for 5 days for my results. It will also mean that this is where your business people come in, because whatever I am doing, I need to implement it into the business and I need to see what is it really meaning for the business. So, what did we really see if you think about it? We actually said we started with the business or the domain knowledge, we moved on to IT or more tools knowledge, and then we combined techniques through the statistics or mathematics of it. Everything we have sort of linked. I am actually saying almost anyone is welcome into the analytics world. Any questions till now, first of all?
Do you have any criteria for controlling your modeling, particular model?
So, the criteria for selecting a particular modeling technique, and I'm assuming that's what you're saying, will depend on the context, will depend on what is it that you are aiming to do, What is the kind of data you have available with you, and what are the kind of people you have available with you to do something. I can say I want to run a worldwide clustering analysis where I want to see at a global level what kind of consumer segments exist for my company. However, if the data across different regions cannot be married to each other, whether because not everyone collects the same variables, they are not collected in the same form, etc., then my objective cannot be met. So it will depend on the context, it will depend on the kind of data I have, the data I can have access to, and in today's world, the tools that are available and the people who are available to do it also.
So in this circle, would you say each individual, you can kind of entrust the responsibility of carrying out each of these one individual, or obviously you wouldn't expect one individual to do all of it?
To be really frank, in some places we do that. So when you talk about, let's say, big analytics setup, when you talk about companies like the American Express setup, for example, or the Fidelity setup in Bangalore, etc., they have 150, 250 people, 500 people on their analytics board who to take care of their own internal analytics. They have the luxury to divide so many people across different groups, with different groups having some part of the entire task. When we talk about more from, let's say, a consulting setup where I come from, McKinsey, we didn't have that luxury. I can't generally tell my clients that I'm going to put 20 people onto your project. I am going to be probably 2 people. You can get me some people from your side to help me access to your data. But beyond that, I will be responsible for everything, which means I will start from understanding your business, of course, with you, and I'm going to try and understand your problem with you. I'm going to do my analytics bit. I am also going to I'm going to collect the data from your IT. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to analyze it. I'm going to draw some insights. And then I will come back to you to share and learn what I have done and if I have faltered anywhere. So different companies, different setups, and that's why sometimes, when we hire people, my team is a very small team, and when we hire people, sometimes candidates ask us, so do you have a data team? Because in my office, I actually have a person who just gets me all the data, which is cleaned and everything. I'm going to just sit here and I'm going to do the statistics. I'm not going to do the dirty stuff. I'm sorry, you have to be prepared for everything. I did say in a general analytics project, 50 to 60% of your time can actually go in just collecting and preparing the data. You can't just sit there and cook your food. You will have to get involved in the grocery shopping and cutting the vegetables also. So just remember that.
The data collection techniques, this data lakes has been gaining the traction in the market. So do you see that is a kind of a real trend in any of your customers?
So see, the point is data collection is gaining track because housing data is becoming very cheap.
I'm talking about data lakes, that concept.
Not heard about that. If you can explain me more, I'm all ears, and I'm sure all of us are.
It's like you're dumping all your raw data into a lake kind of a data.
Okay, so see, the point is, okay, now I think I know what you're saying. The point is that initially that is what was happening. Everyone started collecting more data and started dumping it together. The point is, if you are not going to structure it out, it's going to be useless from an end user's perspective.
No, that was a challenge. Data warehouse has been a challenge. It's enterprise level, it is a big challenge. To increase my data.
Yes, and to integrate it also.
Are coming up now. So we are saying that you dump the data, analysts will make sense out of data. Don't worry about the structure of the data.
You know,
Something that's what I want to understand. Is it a real trend or is it just a hype?
it is a marketing hype. If you are saying that just dump the data, ultimately the analytics people will worry for it, believe me, it's a marketing gimmick. Because at the end of the day, someone has to go and do the cleaning. You can't just take up the entire dump and use it as it is.
That's why they're saying data scientists can do it and
We will talk about the data scientist and what exactly is a data scientist. I'll talk about that as we come. I am going to show you a typical career path in analytics. What I can tell you is, one, this is incomplete because it is evolving. Too much of stuff is getting attached to the traditional career path in analytics. Two, at any point of time, different companies use different terminologies to call the same responsibility. That's why we always say to our students, when you are going for an interview, don't get impressed or saddened by the name of the position, because it's just a terminology. It's a matter of what comes underneath it. It's a matter of the responsibilities that you will have underneath it. So this is the typical career path in analytics, which used to be, you started as an associate analyst, or what sometimes people call a junior analyst. You probably would start here as a fresher, maybe fresh out of college, at a graduate level, where you will constantly be just doing what someone else is telling you to do. And believe me, these people are very happy to do that because they are getting a lot of learning opportunities. They are learning under someone's guidance. For around 1.5, 2 years, you will probably do something like this. We can also attach someone like an MI analyst to this role. Who is an MI analyst? An MI analyst is needed by companies to constantly run the reports that might have been automated. So, if I am in the industry, I have to constantly track certain KPIs. I have to see how my company is performing. I might be needing those on a daily basis, on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly basis, whatever it might be. In any of the cases, I have a certain dashboard which is prepared, which goes to the CEO. It is the MI analyst's responsibility to just run the numbers every time and give those numbers out. So this is where analytics, the career path in analytics starts. What you have after this is an analyst. Don't know any other term for it. 2 to 4 years. This is where probably your fresh postgrads will come in, or people who have then moved from this stage to this stage. You now are independent. You can start taking up stuff a bit more independently, not very high-end analytics, but still a lot more independence, and you are still on the executionist part. It's more a matter of to make the transition from here to here, a senior analyst / a specialist, because this is where you start thinking about new kind of analytics that is coming in. You start thinking about new technologies, new tools that are coming in, which will help you run maybe the same analytics simply, or do more advanced kind of analytics in a different way. You will probably be involved in guiding junior members and doing a lot of client handling also, because you will be the one who will be communicating the patterns you have discovered in the data to the client ultimately. Your client can be an external client or your own internal business owner, for example. An IT analyst generally comes somewhere between these two areas. He can also come on the higher side also, depending on how big is your setup or how small is your setup. But at least at a basic level, this is where they will start coming in, because this is where they will start getting the data to you and also trying to infuse some business understanding with the IT so that they are getting the correct data to you. When you do all these three, you then move to an analytics consultant. 6+ in some companies, even 8 to 10 years of experience required for an analytics consultant. This is where you are thinking about the strategy of the team. You are also consulting clients on what they all can do to just solve their revenue problem. You know, sometimes clients come and they just say, I want higher revenue, help me. So how do you work around that? That's where this person will start coming in. This person, even though at this level, you don't expect this person to be hands-on, but he has to have an hands-on to be able to guide the people under him, as well as talk more in a business analytics way to the companies. What do you mean when I say business analytics? You know what is the typical fight between the salespeople and the people who actually make the products? They say salespeople will go and sell anything. They don't think about the fact whether this can be done or not. That is why this person, the person at this level, has to have had hands-on knowledge to know what is he promising to the client. It's, as I say, it's not necessary this guy is a hands-on person, but he has to have had the knowledge to know that he is promising something better for the people under him who are going to be eventually working on it. Some terminologies again for the analytics position. Of course, this is the entire business analytics side. Analytics meeting the business understanding. Whether you talk about financial analyst, campaign analyst, HR analyst, portfolio analyst, whatever you call it, basically business meeting analytics. This is your analytics meeting IT. So you are talking about SQL analyst, a database marketing analyst, data analyst, even your SAS programmers. I know SAS, that doesn't mean I can probably do a lot of analytics. I know SAS. This is where you are saying your analytics meeting statistics. So this is where you're talking about fraud analyst, your statistician, your statistical analyst, your modelers, basically people who are really doing the hardcore analytics stuff. We are looking at so many talks here, whether it's on neural networks or genome mapping, etc. This is where these people will come in. What is the hottest area out of these three?
Logistics analyst. Data scientist is right at the middle. It's the factor, so it's got all the three colors.
Okay. So web analyst, okay, if a data scientist is in the middle of everything, what you can also see is it's also at the lowest level of everything. Right? So it's a master of jack of all trades, master of none. But yes, different stages, different times, different things become hot. Recession, I think this was the hottest along with some bit of this. So I'll tell you something really interesting about the analytics world. We say analytics is really hot. We say there are a lot of jobs in the analytics industry. It will never go anywhere even if the recession gets in. So let me give you a live example for that. In 2007, I was with McKinsey and we made a very sophisticated financial risk model for one of the banks in the US. It was really well coined and was very well appreciated by the client, etc. 2008, 2009, recession hit really, really badly. Our model fell flat. The funny thing is, we were called again in 2009 because they said the market has changed, the model has to be changed, so please come back. So yes, analytics is hot. It just depends which area it will keep circling across, but it's not going anywhere. What someone said about data analyst versus data scientist. Your data analyst, so again, these are my thinkings, this is how I think about these terms, and believe me, there's absolute still confusion. I can still go back and have another fight with my husband about, I don't think I said the correct thing. A data analyst is what used to happen traditionally. I will collect the data, I will do analytics, I will do good analytics, I will do some basic statistics, maybe run some models also. But now we are moving from a data analyst to a data scientist scenario, where new is required on a daily basis. I ran a correlation, I ran a regression, that's not enough. I know there is some problem that will always exist. So why can't I think about something newer still that I can run, which will help me solve my problem? So that's where a data scientist has started coming in, where traditionally your data analyst was used to handle Structured data. What is the difference between structured and unstructured data? Any ideas?
Structured data has an order to it, rows and columns.
Based on format and structured like an HTML.
Not only.
Structured can be CSV format.
It cannot be from a database. It can be a sensor data, it can be machine data, it can be voice data. So many.
Yes. So structured initially was, and this is what we were used to earlier, was everything is coming to me in a defined format. I will always see numbers, I will always see dates and so on and so forth, and that's where my SAS was most prevalent. However, with the entire social media, for example, coming in, customers who have started to gain so much of traction, we've started to see there is a lot of unstructured data that has coming in. Text mining, sentiment analysis, all of this is now coming in, and it's unstructured also. This is where now this role has got limiting capabilities. SAS, and that's why SAS is now slightly failing, and we are moving towards big data. This is what a data scientist is now expected to do. How do you get unstructured also? Okay, so think about transactional data. I know when do you, so I have my list where I know which all customers buy from me on a daily basis, or bought from me today, what all products they bought, how much quantity they bought, and what is the total price they gave me. Very, very structured, a simple table with numbers and everything. Unstructured, I am also adding a column of feedback to them. So each customer has also given me some kind of feedback. This is not in a structural format because it's something that they might have given to me over the phone, they might have given to me over the website, they might have written about me on a social media site. So all of this is now unstructured, out of the thing, not in a defined format. When I'm combining all of this, it's becoming unstructured. So how am I using it? I'm assuming, and you can tell me I'm wrong, I'm assuming people also understand what exactly is text mining and why is it gaining so much of importance. Yes? Yes, no. How many people say no? And then I can talk about it. Okay. So text mining is, I'll just talk about it quickly then. This means text mining is basically gaining a lot of importance because we are constantly seeing people going and writing complaints and feedback everywhere. The funny thing is, आजकल की दुनिया में basically everything works. We met someone who manages the Facebook accounts for different companies. That's all he does. So what he will do is, if someone is going onto the Facebook, tagging the company and saying about something, his company is responsible for reading it and creating an action out of it. That is where text mining also starts coming in, because I'm trying to understand, can I identify a pattern that is coming up in the comments that I'm getting, whether it's good, whether it's bad, how am I saying it's good or bad? Can I start identifying a pattern there? So unstructured is now leading to the entire concept of text mining or sentiment analysis. But yes, this is where your traditional data analysis stops working and starts limiting, and you move from here to a data scientist side. But yes, open for any questions now.
You have discussed in detail the roadmap for analytics professional. What about lateral entries? For example, a person who is working in a large organization who has put in a good amount of period over there, he may be deputed as a new responsibility into analytics. This is scenario A. Scenario B, a person who is into other IT areas like ERP for a longer period of time, is there a transition possible into analytics?
In both the cases, yes. So in the first case, of course we said business understanding is the core. I did say someone who's coming with, let's say, 8 years of experience, let's say someone 8 years of experience with a bank and wants to get into analytics. The very first example, I'm going to tell that person, Yes, learn a bit about analytics so that you understand the jargons that your junior people will throw at you. But think about more of this position. You're not going to be hands-on. You need to have more business understanding. You will have people under you to do the work, but you need to be able to draw insights out of it. Just making sense of, what did we say? Analytics is not only the discovery of patterns in the data, but it's a matter of communication also. You know, most of us statistics or analytics people, that's where we fail. That's where we say your business understanding lacks. I'm just going to sit in my small world with the laptop or the computer and the server, and I'm going to think about SAS and statistics. I'm not going to think about what the business is saying. That's where all of this becomes important. So a lateral person can think about that role, but needs to at least learn the jargons that are being said. The second scenario that you are saying, sorry, I forgot the second, the IT professional. The IT professional, I think earlier were not so common for analytics, but now with the entire big data coming in, it's gaining extreme traction again. Your entire thing on setting up a enterprise data warehouse, connecting different data marts together, getting the data available in a readily usable format, that is where your IT starts meeting analytics. So again, you have something which the normal analytics people don't have. Again, learn a bit of analytics so that you know what you are doing with the data, or what the person after you will do with the data, so that you can help him more. And that's where again IT can meet analytics.
I have two questions. One is for a fresher to pitch into analytics. I mean, what is important? Is it like business domain knowledge or the tools knowledge? And second, if it is business knowledge or the domain knowledge, which domain to choose? I mean, which domain is hot in the market?
Okay. I'll slightly make your second question redundant by answering the first one. At the first, when you are talking about a fresher, you are talking about this position. When you're talking about this position, you need to show that you are being able to execute what someone is telling you to execute well. That's one side. But you are also supposed to exhibit a steep learning curve on the second side. Now let's talk about individually both of these. When we go to a college, we learn statistics, maths, engineering, etc., everything. Do we still think we can apply the stuff that we learn in the college as is when we start work? No, we can't. Everyone recognizes that and will always give you that time to come up the learning curve. In the beginning, you are happy to do something that a senior is telling you to do, because that is also a very good learning for you. You are learning everything at that time. So initially, your tools knowledge becomes really, really important, because whatever it is, the tools knowledge is a hygiene. If I don't know SAS, if I don't know R in today's world, I know there is a slight problem, and I can't implement in any analytics. So my tools are a hygiene. Everything else helps me fasten my learning curve. My senior can come and tell me, please run a predictive model or build a campaign response model for me. That doesn't mean anything to me right now. I know it means that I can run a logistic regression model in SAS. That is what I will do. But because I know ultimately what is campaign analytics, I can start seeing how my senior is using my results to come up with more insights. And how is he really tweaking with the variables and the information I am giving him to make more business sense out of it. So that is what I can learn on the job, but I definitely need the tools knowledge as a hygiene principle.
Not on the technology side, on the analytics side. Is it possible?
What I'm going to say is, depends on the number of years of experience. The reason why I say that is, ultimately when you have to sit in front of an interviewer or a company, the company is going to assess At what level of hierarchy can I put you? If you're coming to me with 10 years of experience, with let's say just a complete software development or a software testing role, I can't help it. You don't know analytics. You might have learned analytics now through another external course or whatever, but I can't take you at this level. I will probably be taking you somewhere between these two. Does that spoil my people pyramid in my company? Will you be able to adjust with people who are probably junior to you? Why did you not think about this transition earlier? Why are you thinking about it 10 years down the line? So it's not a matter about you being able to move, but it's a matter of how will you get companies to accept you. So that is the thinking you need to start doing. So which is the reason why we say that people who come with let's say 4 to 6 to even 8 years of IT kind of an experience, they can still think about big data side, big data implementation, etc. Because they can start thinking about getting in at least. Even though it's not 100%, it's not 50%, but it's at least 10%. And then as you are growing in, you already, just in the same case as a fresher, you can show a steeper learning curve and then see how you can make headways into the other side. How much time do I have? I need to take a... I think one last question.
Sorry to hijack it. One thing I would like to specify here. We have in fact seen such transitions. People from complete IT background move to the technology side of analytics, which is your big data, databases, ETL, and then slowly making strides towards data science. So as Ankita said, it cannot be one complete step, but yes, a slow transition after wedging into at least one side.
So you have to go into technology side before you can't go.
It's very difficult.
That question is
There
getting
are exceptions, but it's difficult.
When we talk about analytics, is it only a big data we need to work on? If not, people already have BI in place. Is that a transition which can happen? Because people are having a mixed feeling that I have a BI already. People are talking about big data. Can I do something about this?
Okay, for everyone, I just repeat the question. So the question is analytics only big data? I come from a BI side. Can I still transition into analytics? First of all, analytics is not only big data. BI is also a part of analytics. Again, for a BI person, the transition is, right now I am creating reports. How much of insights I am drawing out of the report? Probably very, very little. How do I understand what am I calculating? Why am I calculating it like that? Let's take it to the next stage. Now this is what is happening on a standard basis. I know, for example, Northern India gives me this much of revenue and Southern India gives me a higher revenue. Let's think about the next stage. Can I break the Southern India market further to identify more profitable pockets? So that's basically saying moving from BI to analytics, your insights generation, and how will you use it. Big data is just a part of analytics. Whether you do it through big data or through small data, ultimately analytics is analytics. So don't think that analytics is only big data then. Last question and then I have to stop.
I'm not agree with this traditional all the steps. I'm a student of MSc Computer Science from Gujarat. So I learned statistics, math, programming in my masters, and I applied to hackathons, and we have success stories from ICICI, HDFC. So I don't think we have to spend 6 years to become
an analytics consultant.
Because after...
So first of all, what did I say? I said it's not a matter of the term you are attaching to it. It's a matter of what you are doing underneath it. That's the first thing I said. Now, when I am saying, we also understand as a fresher, no company is going to put me on the first day in front of the client and say, understand the problem and solve it with the team that I will give you underneath.
Agree with that, but we have success stories like we use tools like Informatica Power Center and DDX.
But the point is, what will you use these tools for?
we have
And
problem
how
statement from
comprehensive?
the
From
like
the-
website like kaggle.com, and we have 5th ranker in that website. We solved so many problems in the
And when
society community.
when I say that analytics consultant gets into a problem formulation side also.
Okay.
Again, so that is what I am saying. It's not a matter of the terminology, it's a matter of what you are doing underneath it. What I am basically showing is you are starting from an executionist because you understand the hygiene. You need to start understanding your business more to be able to deliver more. Once you are doing that, you are doing stuff on your own, but then you are also thinking about the next steps that you can take. My company is coming to me with just one problem, but when I think about it, there can be 3 other problems that are connected to this problem. Can I make that connection and solve all of them together? The last stage is, am I being able to think about a strategy also based on the problems that I am solving for the company? So that is the actual path that I am thinking about. As I said, terminology is just a misnomer. Okay, I need to stop, otherwise these people are going to chuck me out. Thanks a lot for your time. I hope this talk was useful.